is Dion Blumenrader with Big Hoss One Sauce, and you're listening to the best show on all things barbecue with my man, Greg Rempe.
Start the game! Let's go!
We'll do it live. Okay. Well, do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
So to get that perfect barbecue, you use wood. Are you sure it's safe? Whatever. We put the lighter fluid on, strike the match, and... Oh! Should we call the fire department? That might be a good idea.
Good evening and welcome to the Really Big Barbecue Central Show. This is the show that talks about all things that are important in the world of barbecue and grilling. This show originates from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame city, Bomb City, USA, Cleveland, Ohio, the barbecue capital of the North Coast. I'm your program host, Greg Rempe. Happy to have you aboard here on your Tuesday evenings, a live fire, fun, and frivolity show. If you would like to get in contact with the show this evening, or if you would like to follow the show during off-show hours, here's how you do that.
You can get in touch with the show by sending an email to Greg at thebbqcentralshow.com. Follow us on all the social media channels at BBQ Central Show. And be sure to subscribe to the show podcast feed on your favorite podcast platform.
Anything else you want to find out about the show can be found at the main website, thebbqcentralshow.com. And here's what's happening in case you can get the newsletter coming up in about 12 minutes from now. If you can believe it, 2024 rapidly coming to a close. We are now in September. Joining me for the first Tuesday of the month regular segment, 14 past the first hour, our pal Malcom Reed. There's football to talk about. There's tailgating to talk about. There's deer hunting to talk about. There's beef franken ribs to talk about, frozen burgers to talk about. We probably won't have anywhere near the amount of time that we should have, but that's why we do it each and every month, so those topics that we don't get to, if they are so evergreen, can carry over into the following month. So just to wet the whistle of the Centralites with Malcom Reed, some topics that you can look forward to. Then 35 past the first hour, a typical quarterly guest. We missed her on her quarterly date, and then she was going to backfill last week, and then I was out last week. And we all agreed that circling back 35 past the first hour on the first Tuesday would be the best. Jess Pryles joins us. JessPryles.com, HardcoreCarnivore.com. She's got a TV show that she's shooting. We will learn all about that when we might be able to start consuming it. There are some other topics that I want to talk to her about as well. And then, of course, ending with the musical game that everybody loves. And that'll bring a wrap to the first hour. Then we'll move to the second hour because it is the first Tuesday of a brand new month. And that 14 past the second hour, you know who it is. Media maven on the YouTubes, Sam the Cooking Guy. Some new cast iron skillets that are available. Not skillet, a cast iron griddle that's available. There's a bunch of new products coming out. And then to take it, again, with Sam, it's all conceptual until it actually happens. I have a line of questioning that I thought would be very interesting. I was listening to a podcast, the Pete and Sebastian show, and they were running a line of questioning back and forth between them. And I said, this is interesting enough for me to get Sam's take on what these guys are talking about. Has to do with going out to dinner. I'll leave it at that. That's what we call a tease in the biz. And then that'll be Sam the Cooking Guy segment. And then coming out of the bullpen this evening is none other than competitive food eating sort of expert, best friends with Pat Bertoletti, and wannabe best friends with me, Steve Ray from Owl's Nest Barbecue. Perhaps the biggest most anticipated hot dog eating contest. It didn't take place July 4th. Indeed, it took place on Labor Day yesterday in Las Vegas between Joey Jaws Chestnut and Takeru Kobayashi. I'll just give you a fair warning because my oldest daughter, Bobby, just found the show moments before I went on air, and I said, yeah, this aired live yesterday. I know all about it. So if it's on your to-do list over the next couple days or week, don't tune in to the 1035 section. We're going to ruin it for you. We will give away all finals, all results, if records were broken or not, if somebody threw up or not, a.k.a. reversal of fortune. So if you haven't seen it and you don't want to know, you have somehow kept insulated through various talk shows and so forth, and you're going to get it on Netflix later, don't tune in to the 1035 segment. So that's how the show's laying out tonight. Malcolm Reed, Jess Pryles, first hour, an all-star first hour, only to be followed up by an all-star second hour of Sam the Cooking Guy and Steve Ray. Don't forget, you can follow me socially on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Snapper Snaps, and the LinkedIns, all with the handle at BBQ Central Show. And of course, we say good evening to those of you watching tonight through Facebook.com/BBQ Central Show or Twitter.com/BBQ Central Show. Or you can watch on YouTube, which is YouTube.com/@BBQ Central Show, where we have a new YouTube poll question of the week. And we're asking everybody this. The best part of last Tuesday's show was A, Maddie, B, Becky, C, Steve, or D, Marley. And the early voting, it's a boat race. Maddie is taking it 100%. Of course, I'll get to that here in a second. But Maddie is out with a 13-0 lead at the moment, 100%. Results from last week's poll. Does Wingstop have trash fries? 74% of the YouTube voting public said, indeed, Wingstop has trash fries. So we'll start here tonight. First and foremost, I want to thank my middle daughter, Maddie, for hosting the show last week. I took the time to listen as a fan would listen. Hour number 1 on Wednesday, podcast audio only. Hour number 2 on Thursday, audio only on podcast. And I have to say, for only doing it once and with a limited amount of run-up, did a incredible job. A great change of pace. She took ownership of the show, did what she wanted to do, and really that's the most important part of all of this. I did tell her there was no real need to tell everyone if she was making a mistake or not, because in reality, none of you would know if she was making a mistake or not, so no need to announce it. But outside of that note, and a small note at that, I had nothing bad to say, nothing in a negative way. She did all the reads, satisfied all the business obligations, and filled 120 minutes. 120 minutes. That's all I could ask for. And she did it live. And the fact that it was actually a really good show is cream on the coffee, as they say in Holland. For instance, she got my wife Becky on the show, and they talked about her battle with cancer last year. And yes, I got many emails asking me why I never talked about it on the show last year. We can discuss that at a later date. But Maddie asked some really good questions in that segment. Becky gave incredible personal answers to those questions. A lot of personal insight as to what she went through last year, and to be honest, what she continues to go through on a day-to-day, week-to-week, quarter-to-quarter basis as she continues to battle through this rare cancer. And then really the surprise of the night, Steve Susnick, I was told in advance that he was very nervous going into the segment. So when I was listening on Wednesday, I was expecting a little bit of shaky voice, one-word answers, stuff nervous people do in interviews. I was 100% wrong. He was incredible, funny, engaging, great banter between Maddie and Steve. Nothing to indicate that he was nervous. In fact, it sounded like he gets interviewed on the regular. So well done, Steve, in that regard. And of course, in the second hour, Marley, Maddie doing what they do. I see the interaction every day. So having it available for everyone else to see, certainly fun. And here's what we know at the very least. As long as Maddie is home and school doesn't get in her way, there is no reason that some form of live show won't happen from here on out for at least the next 2 years. Let's say that. Then she graduates from PA school and does her own thing. But until then, I have a fill-in host who knows the logistics of the show and can run it from start to finish. What you don't see that's happening in front of me is something that you possibly can't fathom. And for one person to do it with very little run-up, highly impressive. So, Maddie, thank you so much for stepping up and doing it last week. Hosting appears easy, but again, once you see everything that goes into it, it becomes a bit overwhelming. And she nailed it. So your live fill-in host from here on out, Maddie Remp. Look at you. Plenty of email reaction to get to as time allows here through the rest of the show. Malcolm Reed is ready to go. We'll get to him here in just 1 second. Before we do that, let's talk to you about one of our newer sponsors to the show again. New again. It's Schwank Grills, of course. Gang, check out the grill that everybody is talking about. You're probably seeing it continually on social media. Had a huge run here over the summer months, of course. It's the Schwank Grill. The unit heats up to 1,500 degrees using infrared burner technology. We'll talk about that in a second. But what does it mean to you? Now you can grill the juiciest, most flavorful meats in about 3 minutes or less. No more wasting your life cooking the proteins you want. Schwank Grills does it quickly and does it with great results. The infrared burner technology, the same stuff used by the world's finest steakhouses, including Morton's Steakhouse, Del Frisco's, Cut 432. Remember, at 1,500 degrees, you can build a delicious crust on both sides of the steak without overcooking it. Incredibly juicy, flavorful. Truly nothing like this grill. In fact, some are calling it the future of grilling. It does have a drip tray. What are the benefits? You can melt butter, rest the proteins in a butter bath or a sauce that you make. Really add that next layer of flavor. Use your imagination to bring that flavor to the table. And is it only for steaks? No, sir. It can handle the most robust meats, but also does chicken breasts, shrimp, burgers, delicate fish. Do I hear a new addition to the backyard before fall sets in? Indeed, I do. But the Centralites want a deal. I know you guys. You can't fool me. I'm here to help. Right now, if you use promo code BBQ Central at checkout, you can save $150 off a Schwank grill. That's either the propane-fired or the natural gas-fired. It's that easy to save money and enjoy restaurant-quality heat. There's also a link in the show notes, show newsletter. Go to the homepage and click on the Schwank logo and get to their website. Whole bunch of different ways. And by the way, if you're worried about too much intense heat, there's multiple levels with that handle on the side so you can lessen the heat intensity. SchwankGrills.com, the place to go. BBQ Central at checkout to save $150. We're back with Malcolm Reed right after this. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Broadcasting live from the Barbecue Central Show studios in Cleveland, Ohio. You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
Welcome back to this portion of the show being brought to you by cookinpellets.com, your number one source for quality wood pellets for all your pellet-driven cookers. You visit cookinpellets.com to see their products, and then go to Amazon.com or Walmart.com or Lowe's.com to purchase same great products, even better shipping rates. The good folks over at cookinpellets.com. My next guest can be seen on his YouTube channel, How to Barbecue Right. He can be heard on his podcast, How to Barbecue Right. And the first Tuesday of every month, 35 past the first hour, you see him right here. My pal and your pal, Malcolm Reed, joining us as he always does. Malcolm, can you believe that we are almost approaching Q4 of 2024? I know I said this last year, but it feels like maybe this year has been the fastest year ever.
It absolutely does, Greg. You know, it's crazy. We're already into September, man. Summer's over finally. The heat's breaking a little bit down south, so it means football.
We're going to talk about that here in a second because I have incredible trepidation about my local team, the Cleveland Browns, and of course I'm going to be asking you about the Minnesota Vikings, some college football as well, general tailgating nonsense. But we do have a YouTube poll question of the week that we're asking everybody, and the question is this. The best part of last Tuesday's show was Maddie, Becky, Steve, or Marley, a.k.a. Willis. Where are you going with this?
I'm going to go with Maddie.
Yeah, Maddie, right? 88% saying that Maddie was the highlight of the show last week. Look, this is a kid, no hosting, no formal training other than maybe a week in a stealth cast that she had under her belt prior to getting on next Tuesday or last Tuesday, and takes over and runs a 120-minute live internet show pretty much right on time. So it was, as a dad, proud dad moment, but as a entertainer and someone who was very controlling of his brand and show, very tough for me to relinquish the reins. But after seeing it, maybe there's a few more vacations on a Tuesday coming up that I didn't know about.
Man, you can't beat that, man. She must take after you, right? She gets all that skill.
Yeah, gift for gab and opinions unlimited, certainly, no doubt about it. Did you catch the Joey Chestnut Kobayashi Netflix hot dog eating event yesterday?
No, I did not. But so how'd it go? Give me the rundown real quick.
You want me to spoil it for you? You could go watch it later.
I'm probably not going to.
All right, how about this? Would you believe me if I said Joey Chestnut ate 77 hot dogs and buns?
Oh, absolutely.
Would you believe me if I said Joey Chestnut ate 80 hot dogs and buns?
We're good.
Would you believe me if I said Joey Chestnut ate 83 hot dogs and buns in 10 minutes? Can you believe that?
I mean, I would. How could you imagine what he feels like today, Greg?
I've seen the social media posts that he's obviously partnered with Dude Wipes, which are some kind of adult male ass wipe. So I understand what he's saying. But, you know, many, many years ago, probably over 10 years ago, he did the show twice, I think it was. And I remember asking him specifically, how many people are racing off stage and just unloading the food, like they rented it for that 10-minute time frame and now they're ejecting it, and how many people are letting it digest? And he said there was certainly a large portion that had their head in a 20-gallon trash can. But Joey, unless provoked in some other way, does not do that. He digests all that food. I think there was some expert on there during the color commentary that said they were eating somewhere in the neighborhood of 18,000 to 20,000 calories inside of 10 minutes. And I don't know what that does to the human body.
It can't be good. There's no, it's amazing. It's amazing. It's one of those oddities of science or whatever that he's still doing it, because, how many hot dogs has he ate in his life?
Oh my God.
That's the question.
I mean, you're right, because leading into all those Nathan's contests, he was doing a contest a week building into July 4th. So, at least 5 weeks or 6 weeks before the big one, he's eating any number of hot dogs within that practice eat that probably we would all eat during the course of a year, let alone multiple weeks in a row, ramping up to, traditionally 60 to 70. But now you're inside. This is what I said. You put this guy inside, because I've been tracking this whole Netflix thing ever since it was announced with the whole controversy with Nathan's Hot Dog in Brooklyn this past year. I said, you get this guy inside under perfect eating conditions. The thing that he bitched about the most was how he had no control over the weather. And there were plenty of eats in Brooklyn where it was hot and humid, and the human body just wasn't able to take on the quantity of food that he was hoping to do, and through no fault of his own. Put him in a nice climate-controlled environment. Oh, by the way, put his biggest nemesis to the left of him, and the stage is set for an iconic eat. And 83 hot dogs and buns. And again, this was a little different than normal because hot dogs are in the buns. They can't come out and do it independently. There was no dunking. You had to jam that hot dog and bun in your mouth. And then you had cups of water that you could sip on. It was, I don't know, I was watching it with my wife and Maddie, and they're yelling at the top of our lungs, "This is gross." And then you got me over here going, "This is unbelievable." So it would be a good dichotomy for you and Shell to watch and see if you are both disgusted or if at least 50% of you find some type of marvel at this eating.
I've got to watch it. I mean, now you've got me interested now. I never really think that much about the Nathan's contest at 4th of July. I mean, it's something you watch. It's a novelty.
Yep.
But, we're talking about an endurance and what that's doing to him physically to be able to do that. I mean, it's unbelievable. It really is. I mean, that's over a hot dog a minute. So, I mean, over eight
Yes.
hot dogs a minute,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. It's,
Gosh.
so,
I can eat, but I don't think I could eat 8 hot dogs.
Yeah, no, I'm
that would
totally
be
with you. Yeah, 3 to 4 tops for me inside of 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Now, as a preface, it is visually unappealing to the masses as far as how it looks as it's happening. But if you can get over the visual, which nobody in my house but me evidently could, then I think there is some type of an appreciation that builds. So you watch that. We'll talk about it next month and get your hot take on it. You've been cooking on the Primos pretty consistently now for a number of months. I've had mine for well over a year. What's your take on Primo Grill right now that you have some real time and some real diversity under your belt?
So, I mean, I've been cooking on ceramic grill a long time,
Yep.
and I've had an egg. I've had one of the Kongs that Grilla makes. I've cooked on one of like the Sam's models, and they all cook about the same. But what's unique to me about that Primo is that oval design, and the one I have the XL. I also have one of the newest, the XXLs, but I cook on the XL more, and I really like the fact that I could put my coals to one side of the grill, and I've got this perfect reverse sear zone over there where you're not going to burn anything up. The heat works great on it. I mean, they're fantastic grills. I mean, they cook as good as any other one. You just get a little more extra room with that oblong shape. And so I'm a fan of them, man. I've been cooking a lot on it.
I was listening to your latest podcast. You had a guest on. He said that Bubba Burgers are the best frozen burgers. Nothing new to this guy. I've been a longtime proselytizer of Bubba Burgers. You mentioned during the show that you might have become inspired enough to get some and try them out this past weekend. So I'm always asking the tough follow-up questions, Malcolm. Did you commit and get Bubba Burgers to try?
I did not. I didn't make it to Walmart, but look, Greg, it's on my list to do. I mean because I've ate some frozen burgers before, and I'm sure I know Rochelle. She's a big fan of Bubba Burgers. If I'd send her to get some hamburgers for a cookout, she's going to go buy some frozen Bubba Burgers, and so I'm not knocking them, but I just I'd rather have a fresh ground meat burger, but there's nothing wrong with them. But now my curiosity is spiked one again. I want to see if there's a really difference in the different burgers that they have. That's what this guy did to come on our podcast. I mean, he had tried all of them.
I think everybody knows my raging hate for anything onion. So I will disagree with his rank of which one is the best. To me, it's just the old standby brown box. Not the Angus one, just the regular brown box. I like it the best. I think it's got the most classic hamburger flavor, 80-20 type flavor. I know you were a little worried about the aesthetic of that burger. I think they got to make them that way for them to stay together. And under no circumstances, because maybe somebody on this split screen has tried this before, and it's probably not you, don't let them defrost because it fucks everything up. So immediately, as frozen as they can come, right on I did them on grill grates, but flipped them over so you get that flat top action. And so I assume they would cook really good on a Blackstone or, whatever flat top you might be using. But I find them to be very good. And then, just a tick around medium, little pink or a little, not a lot of pink, but, a nice color in there that really yields a nice, juicy product. So some more homework for you to dig into so we can come back in October and get your Bubba Burger take. I mean, are you really going to do it?
I mean, I'm gonna definitely do one now. I got to. You put me on the spot, but I got to question you on the little pink now. I don't know if I trust a frozen burger to cook it like that. I'm gonna have to take it on up to where it's, I don't want to get sick.
Here's
that
the good news.
A little bit.
Here's the good news. I've already done all the testing for you. I have cooked them well into well done. I have started to incrementally knock it back to the point where it was, let's say, a bumper to bumper pink. I mean, when I had my Weber gas grill, I had that thing so dialed in. I knew where to set the burners. I knew how hot that top of the griddle was going to get on the grill grates. And it was literally 4 minutes aside, and then top it with cheese, take it off, hit it on the bun, get whatever sides ready, and away we go. And you cut into that thing. I think I still have some Instagrams that I can send you. It's super juicy, but never once did I get sick. And I have to imagine that between the two of us, you've been a little bit more of an adventurous eater than I have ever been in my life. So I think a little pink in this burger is going to treat you right. And I think ultimately it does yield the best tasting and the most juicy product, in my opinion.
I'm down. You've talked me into it, man. I'm going to be the Bubba Burger man.
Deer hunting season fast approaching, or is it here already?
No, we still got a little while to go.
Oh, a little while. All right.
It's still got, still got about a month or so it'll open up.
Right, so we'll leave that until October. I'm, not an avid hunter myself, but I know my boss has been talking a lot about it recently. He's got farm down in Southeast Ohio that he's got a couple hundred acres that his wife's grandmother owns, a whole bunch of land out there. So he's gearing up for that. Instead, we have the NFL season getting ready to jump off this coming Saturday. Let's turn it into a sports talk show. Yeah, Thursday, of course. Let's turn it into a sports talk show just for a couple minutes. What's your high-level take on a Minnesota Vikings 2024 season?
It's going to be hard to watch, Greg.
Oh, no.
Our new rookie quarterback goes down with the knee, and he's out for the season already. We don't really have great. We got a running back that come over. Where did he come from? Green Bay. I don't know if he's still got any juice left in his legs, or a tight end's still out. So we got one wide receiver. I think we got another guy that's fighting a DUI charge. It's going to be pretty rough.
Do you have an opening weekend special recipe that you like to produce?
I'm a wing man. You know that.
Oh yeah.
So just get for college football. I cook some wings, and I'll usually cook wings on Sunday. That's mine and Shell's thing. I like cooking them kind of plain and then having sauces and letting whoever's eating them put their own sauce on them. So that's usually what I do, and I do them, either on my Vortex on a Weber grill with the Vortex, or I'll do it. They only take about 55 minutes, and they're perfect. The skin's a little crispy on them, so that's what I'm going with. Shell's big into making dips. She usually has some kind of a cream cheese type dip, and then some kind of a cold dip. So she likes doing that. But we're pretty standard when it comes to football food. I like it all. Don't get me wrong.
Are you a college football guy too?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I probably like college more than I like pros.
Oh yeah.
We're in SEC country down here, so that's we're coming off. I mean, there was a lot of blowouts this past weekend. It wasn't just the best football, but there was a couple of good games. Notre Dame put a good one on A&M, and then that LSU USC game was really good.
Well, the head coach for LSU was very upset with their effort, especially at the end.
He was fired up.
Yeah, he made that water bottle jump off the desk, the likes I haven't seen in recent memory. That was quite a thing there. I need to ask you about two things. When you talk about cooking chicken wings, I've seen more and more use of, is it baking soda or baking powder getting tossed into the mix here before you actually go cook? Are you a subscriber to any of that?
So I've done some recipes with it, and yes, you can get it. It kind of gives it a crunch on the outside. I guess it dries the skin out, and plus it gives it some texture when it cooks. But I've noticed you've got to be really, really careful with it, or you'll get a little gritty like texture and just a flavor that's a little off from it out on the outside if you get too much on it. So I'm more of a proponent of letting those wings dry out in the refrigerator on a raised rack. Mm-hmm. I think letting the skin get absolutely dry and then getting a little bit of fat on them before you put your seasoning on helps them crisp up and helps them get that golden brown color. So I do that more than I do put the baking soda or the cornstarch or anything like that on the outside.
I'm seeing these become a little bit more widely available, at least where I'm at. Maybe they're more prevalent where you are for whatever reason, but beef flanken ribs. Do I want to buy these and try them out?
Yes, you absolutely do. If you've never had them.
Never.
The first time I ever tried them was like at a Vietnamese restaurant, and it was an appetizer. And they take these flanken ribs, and, so it's just like you think the big, 3-bone, dino bone ribs, the plate ribs. It's the cross sections of those. And they usually cut them about, half an inch or so thick. They're not super thin, but they're not thick either. And the meat in between surrounding those bones is really good, but it's a little chewy. And you're not cooking them till they're, braised down or anything. They're not the texture of that rib. They have a little more steak chew to them. And I found them best to get them in a marinade, whether you go Asian style or you give them a little Mexican flair, or whether you just want to, steakhouse them, put them in a little Worcestershire or something like a W sauce or something like that. It kind of, gives them a little different flavor, and you can season them however you want. But all you do is flash grill them. You're grilling them until you get some color on one side, and you turn them and you do the same thing, and then you put them over the side. You let them rest a little bit, and man, they are some really, really good eating.
Flanken ribs.
Highly recommend them.
Beef flanken ribs are now. So now we both have homework. You're going to be watching Unfinished Beef or whatever they call that on Netflix, and then Bubba Burger, and then I'll do beef franken ribs, and then we'll flanken ribs, and then we'll come back on the show October and we'll compare notes. Fair enough?
Okay.
Right.
I'm going to Bubba Burger it up.
All right.
And watch some hot dogs.
We'll look forward to that. This is Malcolm Reed. How to BBQ Right is his website, and 1.75 million of you are subscribed to him over on YouTube. Malcolm, always appreciate the time, and we'll see you in October.
All right, let's eat some burgers.
Let's do it. Malcolm is going to be so happy with Bubba Burgers. I'm just telling you this right now. I know for a fact he's going to be so happy. And it sounds like I'm going to be happy with beef flanken ribs. Did I say beef franken ribs before? Dope. That's all right. Jess Pryles is in the green room. We'll get to her in just 1 second. And now I have this question for you. You tired of settling for mediocre grilling experiences? Well, of course you are. It's time to step your game up.
Step your game up.
That's right, Floyd. Bring the ultimate flavor and cooker to the backyard barbecues. Pits and Spits charcoal grills offering the highest quality live fire cooking experience you can get in the market today. Using either wood or charcoal, their solid fuel grills produce those classic flavors you're looking for when you have the time to fire up the grill, cook for family and friends. And with a large adjustable fuel tray, you can raise and lower the fire to control and fine-tune the heat. Their take on the very popular Santa Maria style grill. You can check them out online, pitsandspits.com/BBQ Central. You can use promo code Charcoal Central, all one word, Charcoal Central, for $150 off any charcoal grill that they're selling. Again, the website is pitsandspits.com, all spelled out, and that's the double T on the pits and the spits/BBQ Central. And you use promo code Charcoal Central for $150 off. By the way, sleeper recommendation from your humble host. Their steak seasoning in the Balls Marie. That's fucking good. You might want to order. With that $150 savings, buy a bottle of it. All right, you get it. Jess Pryles is next. Stick around.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Howard Stern, Jim Rome, Dan Patrick, and Greg Rempe. The Mountain Rushmore of talk show entertainment. Now, let's get back to the Barbecue Central Show.
And we thank Malcolm Reed for joining us the last segment. This portion of the show being brought to you by Fireboard, makers of Fireboard 2, Fireboard Pro, Fireboard Spark, Fireboard Beacon, and the new Pulse. When you use the Fireboard app, you have total access to all devices anywhere in the nation and globe. Fireboard.com is the website. You can call them with questions at 816-945-2232. Joining me now is a quarterly guest, a creator of the Hardcore Carnivore brand, and she's a recipe writer over at JessPryles.com. It's Jess Pryles right there. Hey, Jess.
Hey, how you doing?
Sound great.
Right?
Except,
just for you.
Except
what?
Something looks different. Are you on location across the nation?
I am. I'm doing it live, Greg.
Yes, that's what we do.
We'll do it live.
Right, we do it live. Jess, we have a YouTube poll question of the week that we're asking everybody here this evening. I don't know if you can answer this or not. The best part of last Tuesday's show was Maddie or Becky or Steve or Marley.
I'm going to say Becky.
Becky, all right. 5% of the YouTube voting public agreeing with you. Maddie has a little bit of a runaway with that at the moment, but we'll see how the rest of the show plays out. So where are we finding you this fine Tuesday, the first week in August? Or I'm sorry, September.
It is, oh my God, it is.
Yes.
I'm in Houston just for some meetings, so nothing exciting. I nearly didn't want to tell anyone because usually people are like, what do you mean? You came to Houston, you didn't do it. But I didn't have any public things here. No, like I feel bad because I know there are a lot of folks here who want to do classes and meet and greets and stuff like that. But this is business.
Yeah.
So I had a couple meetings.
Did you watch?
It's real exciting stuff.
Did you watch Chestnut and Kobayashi last night?
I did not. I'm still recovering from Ray Gun and having to defend. You know, the breakdancer, the Australian breakdancer. Come on, Greg,
No,
where's your
know.
Topical information? Well, luckily your listeners know.
Kobayashi and Chestnut just happened yesterday.
Breakdancer. I know, but this is okay. The short answer is no.
Did you say
because
Olympic breakdancer?
Yeah,
That's a
this was
sport?
the first Olympics that they had breakdancing, and there was an
dear.
Australian who has now become a meme because it was so terrible. So just look it up. But I didn't see Joey Chestnut because I was too busy launching the new Hardcore Carnivore camo sausage that came out at HEB this week.
Wow,
from
camo sausage. Did anybody see it? Hey-o!
Yay!
All right, so
did you
tell
like
us,
that smooth segue?
Yes, very nice.
Thank you.
Tap dancing all around it. So what's camo sausage?
It's based on our camo seasoning. So it's got a lot of coriander seed. It's nearly like a biltong flavor profile. And a portion of the proceeds go to the Texas Wildlife Association. So it's one of those cool, like our camo is on the packaging. It's very common here in Texas to have a seasonal item come out. You know, obviously yesterday, or the first rather, was the first day of hunting season officially starting. So we brought out a camo sausage.
Since you broached the topic, what does a portion of proceeds go to XYZ mean? What is that? What is that exactly?
It means that we have struck a deal where they have agreed to a certain percentage or a certain amount go to them in exchange for their participation. Their logo is on the product, and I wanted to make sure. I say we, it's me, that we had a Texas hunting foundation associated. So they do a lot of hunters education, a lot of adult learn to hunt programs. They do a lot of conservation. And I just think if you're going to ride on the whole, like, hey, it's hunting season thing, you may as well give something back to the community.
We know there's a large amount of viewer illiteracy when it comes to meat safety and science and all this other stuff. You're also, as obvious, an avid hunter. Is there a lot of dopes that hunt as well? Are they irresponsible hunters, or are hunters a different breed in that regard?
I think sometimes. I mean, there's some stuff that, you know, I know a lot of meat scientists who hunt as well, and they're terrified by some of the things that they've seen. Venison is a very, in particular, is a very forgiving meat. It doesn't carry something like salmonella that poultry does. So it's lucky because some of the practices that we've seen out there should make people a lot sicker than it is, but they're not. So good times for everyone, really.
You have this TV show that you've been gallivanting around the nation, shooting whatever it is that you're shooting.
Yeah.
Where are we in this project? And what I mean by that is, when do we get to watch?
I'll tell you what. I know how much you love an exclusive, Greg.
Oh, no.
I haven't even posted. Oh, yeah.
A Barbecue Central Show exclusive
Great.
news update.
Back at it, Greg
Just for
Rempe
you.
reporting from the breaking news desk here in Cleveland, Ohio, the city that breaks the most live fire breaking news across the country. The globe. And we go to Houston, Texas, where Jess Pryles files this report.
Good evening, Greg. I have a great update for you. You are getting it first. The Barbecue Central listeners are getting it first. Everyone else is going to get it later this week. But I can finally reveal that you can watch my new show, Hardcore Carnivore, on the Outdoor Channel, premiering September 23rd at 8:30 Central. 10 episodes every Monday night. It's right alongside one of Andrew Zimmern's new hunting shows in the same block. And we are also on the road filming season 2. They liked it so much that they already gave us the thumbs up and the green light for season 2.
Look at you.
So it's pretty exciting. It's nice to be able to tell people, like,
20
this
days?
is where you can watch it.
In 20 days?
Yeah.
I thought it was
Oh,
going to
yeah.
be like next year.
No, we filmed it last year, so it's been a hot minute. We filmed season 1 last year, and we're out on the road, as I mentioned, filming season 2 now.
I'm catching up on, I'm watching you do season 2, thinking it's season
Yes.
1. See, but when nobody knows
Right,
the
but that's-
information, when you stop calling me like you used to call me and say, I'm going to tell you this, but don't tell anybody. Instead, like, I'm not even in the know. I'm
I
a
like to
season behind
surprise you.
already. I love it.
I like to surprise you on air.
Great.
You know,
Great.
I've been talking about this thing for a year because obviously I was posting just the same as I've been doing lately. It's all these sort of bit cryptic clues of, hey, I'm here filming this thing, but I can't tell you what it's called or where it's airing or when it's airing. And now I can finally release all of that. So it's pretty exciting stuff. Yeah.
This is a unique question because I was going to ask, do you have any expectation the show will be a blowout hit and a subsequent follow-up? However, I guess we don't need to worry about getting over that hurdle. So the production company or Andrew or the cable people that are airing this, they watched it all and were like, hold on, we got lightning in a bottle. Let's keep this momentum going. Let's kick her right back out on the road. I mean, that doesn't happen very often. Not even on like those dopes on the Food Network.
It doesn't. This has been an extraordinary run. And I have to say, like, there's a lot of really cool stuff that has happened with this show that is really unusual. So first of all, Outdoor Channel traditionally has worked. I'm sure a lot of folks out there are familiar with it. It used to be this format where you would go out and film your own show and then kind of sell it to them and they'd play it for you, or that's sort of how it worked. And I think the overall sort of standard of shows was a little bit more homemade, for lack of a better term. And they had this big overhaul a couple of years ago where they really started investing in their own shows. So this is a show that got commissioned by Outdoor Channel. They are the ones who asked for it. It's not that I went off and filmed it and crossed my fingers. But the really cool part is, and I think this is what you're talking about, Greg, like usually what happens in these situations is you're like, oh, here, we'll offer you a TV show and here are the parameters you have to operate within. You can't talk about this. You have to make sure it's funny. You have to, like, there are so many strict rules of like, you're just the host, just show up. We'll tell you where to go because you're lucky enough to get a TV show in the first place. What makes this extraordinary is I've been involved in every step of the way. So they're like, what do you want the sound, what do you want the music to sound like for your show open? Where do you want to go? Who do you want to talk to? Who do you want in the show with you? Do you want to follow along with your real life friends? And what you'll see, especially for folks who have followed me for a while on social media, you've probably seen a combination of like, the the videos that I make when I'm being really real with my own sort of sense of humor, and you get the feedback a lot. I know on here that people like listening to us on here because we're very frank with each other. And that's what this show is. So it's my sense of humor. There's swearing. There's information, and it's all kinds of stuff. I know. Don't look at me like that.
You can
There's
swear
like information like
you're allowed to swear?
yeah. Oh yeah.
Like they don't bleep it out?
No, like Netflix that you can swear to.
Yeah, but that's
They
not
don't-
real FCC commissioned stuff. This is cable television, right?
Yeah, I mean it's a.
I guess they do.
It's
Like
the outdoor channel.
There's some swearing on Impractical Jokers that they let slide. All right, I like that even more then, I guess.
So yeah,
so
so
American.
but when they came to me, I'm like, listen, I love hunting, but it's certainly not the be all and end all of what I do. And they're like, oh no, we don't want it to just be a hunting show. We got plenty of those. So we've done all of these episodes where it's basically all these different things related to all things meat. So visiting ranches, visiting, doing some hunting, just really cool experiences, the whole gamut. So I don't know. I'm really excited. I'm really excited for people to see it. I'm really excited for people to see. There's recipes and obviously cooking in every episode too. And it's fun. It's fun to watch.
You getting money for this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
I don't know how it works.
Who does it for free?
Well, according to everybody but you, everybody seems to do it for free.
What do you mean?
I mean, how many times have I had somebody on television, like 1 billion times over the life of the show, and nobody's making money? They'll get stipend because they're going to be off work for a week or two or whatever it is. But to my knowledge...
Oh, that's different. So what you're talking about is appearing on... So when you're a contestant on the show, that's a little bit different, and you compete to potentially win money and you get exposure and what have you.
Yeah.
And sometimes when you judge, like I've judged on Beat Bobby Flay and Kids Barbecue Champion and all that kind of stuff. And you'll get a small stipend, but it's also considered like, hey, it's free promo, But this is different. I'm a host of a show, it's a job. We go out for weeks and weeks and weeks to film this thing. So yes. Short answer.
So how quick are you going to be wrapping up the season 2 shooting?
We're going to be filming all the way through November on and off.
And then when would that potentially get released?
I've got no idea. It could be same time next year. That's the stuff that I just sit back and wait for them to tell me what's going on.
When they said, hey, get out there for season 2, do you say, happy to do that? By the way, let's talk about a quick 5-year deal here before I do that, or we don't press that? You have an agent?
There were agents involved at the beginning of this, and you generally sign a multi-year deal up front because if they like it, they want to get you at a good rate.
So you signed the multi-year deal already?
I'm not sure how much I can speak about, but let's just say there's definitely 2 seasons.
Wow, good for you. All right, love it, love business. What do you think after the first season airs?
Yeah.
And maybe you're living without expectation, which is how everybody should live, but maybe you're not. What do you think the expectation for change will be for Jess Pryles and for Hardcore Carnivore?
I mean, I think it's going to be, it's a pretty big deal. There's, I don't know, something like 60 million subscribers to Outdoor Channel. That's huge eyes. I think that a lot of our barbecue community traditionally exists mainly through social media, honestly. Like, obviously, we have these little puffs where people will go on Barbecue Showdown or something like that. But usually they're not like, you just had Malcom on, for example. His main reach is through social media.
Yep.
A lot of folks that are like me, Heath Riles, and, a lot of folks that are those OG seasoning companies like Hardcore Carnivore and myself. And there's not too many that are really getting TV shows. So I expect it to be a pretty big change, but you never know. As you said, you always adjust your expectations so that you're never truly disappointed. But I would be lying if I had told you I wasn't excited. Like, it's a bloody good show. It's a cool show. It's not like, okay, guys, today you're going to be cooking a brisket. It's like, It's
That's my
it's
favorite
me out
show.
there making ridiculous jokes. Isn't it? I knew you would. I knew you'd like that one.
What's the best joke you've told on the air?
In the first episode, I don't think that they're jokes. They're sort of ridiculous things that happen. And in the first episode, we're driving along, and the first episode's really cool. It's an elk hunt in Idaho. And we're driving along with the guide to head out to start stalking these elk. And I'm like, "Hey Jeff, so how often do they have babies?" Because I knew that, whitetails have babies once a year, axis deer have babies twice a year. And he looks at the camera and he looks at me and he's like, doesn't know what to do. And he's all quiet. And I'm like, I'm not asking how often they have sex, Jeff. I'm asking how often they breed. And he just like bursts out laughing because he doesn't know what to expect. I've known him for 24 hours. Yeah. I understand that's not traditionally funny, like a dad joke that I can bust out for you, but I think it gives a pretty good indication of just the type of frank realness that you're going to see, and it was just this great moment. Everyone started laughing and it just disarmed everything. And it's really intense that, it was my first time hunting an elk. It was the longest shot that I've ever taken. So you had all these emotional moments as well.
And now documented forever and ever. Amen.
That's it.
Wow.
Now, the question is, you'll have to watch to see if I actually got it or not. I just said it was the longest shot that I took.
Yes. Well, now I can't
Could be
wait.
embarrassing.
I wasn't going to watch, but now I have to watch to see if the shot has made it on target.
Thank you.
Hey, Jess.
Hey.
Want to play a game?
I'm kind of nervous because I've gotten the last couple wrong, but I always want to play.
All right. We'll play it fine. No problem. This game is called Between the Two. Of course, we're joined by our pal. Can you call it
Betwixt the Two?
Betwixt the Two. I think that's what we did the last time. That's right.
Thank you.
And here, for the first time this month, to play Betwixt the Two, Jess Pryles. Just before we get started here tonight, maybe a little bit about yourself.
Hi, I'm Jess Pryles, originally from Australia, now a glorified American citizen living in Austin, Texas. I have a company called Hardcore Carnivore, and my new show comes out on the Outdoor Channel on September 23rd.
20 days.
And you can find me on all of the socials at Jess Pryles.
That's right. All right, Jess. Let's try and get off the schneid here as we hit September. Otherwise, we got a hot Q4 to get through.
Okay.
Betwixt the Two. Which is the better Def Leppard song? Oh my God. 3 times in a row. Who saw it coming? From the 1981 hit album, High and Dry, Bring It On the Heartbreak, which sounds a little something like this. Or from the 1987 mega smash hit Hysteria, Love Bites, which sounds like this. Very tough. Oh my God, very tough.
Super tough. This is super tough because you could argue that they're appealing to the same audience.
Yes.
They were probably both used, when someone is broken up with in an angsty teen sort of movie.
Angsty teen? I like that. Angsty teen.
Sure. But I'm going to have to go with Bringing On the Heartbreak.
Final answer?
That is my final answer.
Pause led me to believe you might be changing up for the first time.
Never.
I just asked Jess Pryles, betwixt the two, which Def Leppard song is better for the 3rd month in a row, or for the 9th month in a row, whatever it is. Bring It On the Heartbreak or Love Bites, and Jess Pryles said Bring It On the Heartbreak, and of course she is right. Yes, it is! Of course!
I am avenged.
Bring It On, The Heartbreak is
I feel great.
certainly the best song. So not only do we have a TV show rolling out in 20 days, you are off
just
the
feels right.
schneid, and we are back in the winning
great.
ways. I mean, to me,
Can
not
we
that
not
it matters.
do Def Leppard next time?
Yes, I know. The
Like,
third time
can you
was
mix
it.
it up?
Third time was it. But I was like, there's no way she could possibly be expecting another round of Def Leppard as we approach
Also,
9
I feel
months.
like you also wanted to just prove that Def Leppard had that many hits, and I understand.
Oh
that
my God.
too.
I mean, we could go 3 years,
Decades.
4 years.
Decades.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, now to
Yeah.
me, and not that it matters what I think, but
It does.
of course, it's 100% what I think. Bring It On, The Heartbreak is just, to me, more edgy. And I like a little bit more slam, a little bit more in your face. Love Bites when I really listen to it, although it's a classic. It's a little too
It gets a bit slow.
a little too tender for me. I'm a hard man.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I like a
Yeah,
little
yeah.
bit more of the kick
It's
in the
like a
face.
fillet. You know,
Yes.
it's like a fillet,
I
and the
want
other
a
one's
strip
more of a
steak.
ribeye.
I want a sirloin, motherfucker. I don't
Yeah,
want
sure.
filet. Forget it.
Yeah, no,
All
no,
right.
that's a lady steak, Greg.
As we wrap up here, Jess, what are we promoting aside from the TV show, or what would you like to mention?
Just the TV show's a pretty big one, but
Very
just come follow me on social. I'm doing a lot of fun videos these days, and please also check out Hardcore Carnivore. You may know us from our black seasoning. It's the face that launched a million ships.
Yeah,
Let's just put
flagship.
it that way.
No doubt.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, flagship
Great.
product. This is Jess
Yeah, yeah.
Pryles. You can find her at JessPryles.com for recipes or to get all the other fun stuff, hardcorecarnivore.com, and watch her in 20 days from now. Just always appreciate the time, and we'll see you in 3 months.
Thank you.
You got it.
Sounds good, bud. Thank you.
There she is, Jess Pryles right there. What, Maddie? What do you mean?
Didn't clip my.
Oh, my Lord. All right. So we thank Jess Pryles for joining us. You're like that guy. He complained. I complained like 2 weeks ago. You didn't read my comment.
I did this one.
Look who made it in. There's Maddie right there. Hope everyone's missing me. Of course everybody's missing her. No doubt about it. There she is. Well, look out. There's Maddie right there. You can't see her, but there she is. The hostess with the mostest. I think I can do it. Hey, what do we love about ceramic cookers? We love that they're fuel efficient. We love that you can achieve low and slow temperatures for traditional barbecue meats. We love that you can get rip-roaring hot for high-temperature grilling of steaks and other thin cuts, but what's missing in the everyday lineup of ceramic cookers? The real ability to do true two-zone cooking. Two-zone cooking is very important to both professional and backyard cooks alike. The best way to manage a fire and cook with confidence. However, getting a two-zone fire in a round ceramic cooker isn't very realistic. Why? Because it's round. Hello. And a primo and the game-changing oval design. The shape gives you the ability to execute that two-zone setup that you desire. It also gives you the other ceramic grill benefits as well. PrimoGrill.com is the place to go to find a dealer near you. Visit the dealer, touch, feel all the ovals, and then buy the one that's best for you. We're back to wrap the first hour right after this. Stick around. Be right back.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Continuing to produce incredibly mediocre content in an exceptionally professional way. You're listening and watching the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rampey.
Hey, we thank Jess Pryles for joining us last segment and breaking the exclusive that her new TV show comes out on Outdoor Channel 20 days from now. So be on the lookout for that. JessPryles.com is the place to go for recipes, especially for this coming weekend, hunting season, football season, all that fun stuff. And then if you would like to buy those rubs and sauces and other stuff, hardcorecarnivore.com is the website to go for that. all very excited to see how this TV show works out. And by the way, season 2 already underway, which is a huge accomplishment in its own right. We will get a check on the YouTube poll question of the week when we come back. Until then, we'll refresh libations as we point to the second hour. You're listening and watching the Barbecue Central show right here on the Barbecue Central Network. Stick around. We'll be right back.